Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is Friday, February 8th, and welcome to the Gently Moving Forward radio show. This is Kathleen Nelson-Troyer. Most of my friends call me Kat, and I am your host on this weekly show for Essence Coaches Blog Talk Radio. Essence Coaches is a community that's dedicated to helping people create lasting change in their lives. We believe that awakening and connecting with our essence, our core self, and our soul can deeply support us on our life's path. When we connect with our essence, anything is possible. The Essence Coaches community was created to support people to create the best life possible for themselves. Please feel free to join our Essence Community Forum on Facebook at www.facebook.groups/essence.community.forum. And I am super excited today to introduce our special guest, transformative artist Lorien Eck. But first, I want to share a little bit about the show. Gently Moving Forward was born out of the desire to create more gentleness in my own life. I found that I am not alone on this path, and this show is for those of us who feel or who have felt frazzled, overwhelmed, and frozen at some point in our lives. There are times when our external worlds can seem to be anything but gentle. Life can be hard, life can be unfair, and life can sometimes seem scary and harsh. We can feel overwhelmed with the onslaught of data being beamed at us in this information age. So many things to remember, to do, and to keep track of. And this affects our personal and collective energy fields more than we realize. So this show came out of wanting to create a space where people can go to bring some gentleness into their day, a safe place to let down our guards, take a deep breath, and say, ah. My goal with this time together is to soothe and release some of that frazzled energy that is prevalent in our world with some nurturing gentleness, and to remind ourselves that we are co-creators of our lives, and that at any moment we can choose love over fear. I always feel the need to repeat that in any moment we can choose love over fear. And I am so thrilled today to introduce to you all my friend, the transformative artist, Lorien Eck. Lorien was born in Los Angeles and raised in Laguna Niguel, California. Right next to my hometown, by the way. She graduated from San Francisco State University with a bachelor's in art and St. Lawrence University with a master's in education. She's also done some work at Otis College of Art and Design and the CSU International Programs in Florence, Italy. Her paintings are filled with spiritual insights that act as a catalyst to transform and uplift individuals and the global community. Lorien's inspiration often comes from traveling the world on volunteer endeavors, meditation retreats, and teaching sojourns. She's deeply moved by the rich textures and brilliant colors of India and the deep jungle greens of Thailand, where voices of chanting monks permeate the silence before dawn. Trekking the Guatemalan highlands brings to mind the coarse threads of hand-woven Mayan textiles and an ancient culture pulsating with fertility. Living abroad in Ghana, she was steeped in images of saturated and intricate batik design motifs and the primal reds of the landscape. Her work has been shown in Malibu, Santa Monica, Venice, New York, San Francisco Bay Area, and Sardinia, Italy, as well as other venues and public spaces. She spent the last 14 years teaching art to Los Angeles youth and is now focusing on her fine art career. Her artwork is dedicated to the loving memory of her sister, Elisa Diane Eck. Her current works of art explore the interaction between mythology, human consciousness, and nature. The astonishing images captured by the Hubble telescope provided the impetus for creating her cosmic collections. She resides and maintains an art studio in California. Welcome, Lorien.
Thank you, Kat. So great to be here. I love your show and the powerful work that you do on our planet. So thank you.
Thank you, Lorien. it's really cool. You're the first guest on the show, and that is, I just think it's really great that you said yes to this, and I'm so excited to share your work with our audience.
Thank you. I'm
we
honored.
are fortunate enough to have a few of your paintings in our home, and it's really comforting for me to see the work that you do on a daily basis, and it really does have an impact. So before we kind of get into our juicy and meaty conversation today, I just want to take us all through just a real quick getting here meditation, so that we all can be listening with all of ourselves and as present as possible. So we're just going to do that super quick. Let's just take a few deep breaths. And on the inhale, breathe in love. And on the exhale, release anything that is in the way of that. And on the next inhale, breathe in vital life force energy and feel yourself getting more present. On the exhale, release anything that isn't serving you. And on your next inhale, as you breathe in, just feel yourself get more present and more here. And on the exhale, feel yourself here. Be here now. Awesome. Well, Lorien, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm so good. Thank you, Kat.
Good.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. There's so much for us to talk about today. I want to jump right in.
Yes.
And talk about the art that you do. It's definitely transformative, and I'd love to get your take on how it is that you bring that out in your art.
Yes, thank you. Art is something that has been in my life since my childhood. My father's an artist, and I was surrounded by art, really just, immersed, like a fish in a fishbowl of water. So in terms of my practice today, being an artist, it's really natural. My creative process is, it's like every moment we're creating. So in terms of producing art and creating a painting, the inspiration comes from nature and my meditation practice and the beautiful universe that we live in, and of course the cosmos. You mentioned that, and that's a huge inspiration for me, is our vast galactic system, the beautiful Earth herself, and the galaxies that are surrounding us. So I'm constantly inspired and consistently moved, and to create art that is informed by our cosmos and also each other. Human relationships inspire me. So in terms of transformative, I feel like it's constant, that just living in the now, just this whole be here now. We've been hearing this for a long time, and we know the power of now, but to really sink into the now on a very
like to really embody it.
Yeah, but to really, immerse and just surrender to now, it's very, it can't even be described, And the Hopi have, apparently, from what I've learned, the Hopi don't even have a word for now because they're so in the now. The Hopi, Native American nations. So in their language, there isn't even a word for now, because that is it. This is the only place to be. So I know we talk about that, we hear about that. There's so many books and teachers and masters speaking about the importance of living in the now, and it's like, yes, but then go into it and really embody and be in the now. Is I mean, for me, that's been a huge transformative experience. Just in like right now, in every moment. I can't, it's slippery.
Yeah,
it's almost
it's really a practice.
Yes, and it's not an abstract or a surreal concept, and yet it can be if we're not, if we lose it in the moment. So it's funny. I mean, it's actually kind of it's funny in a way to me, because it seems so simple, and yet so do it, and I feel like that practice, the practice of being in the now, is really it's essential. I mean, I feel like in terms of transformative living and lifestyles and choices and high choices in how we live our life, and from what we eat to our daily spiritual practice to interactions with each other and our self-talk and living from the heart, and then of course creating and doing our service in the world, and in my case it's art, creating my art. The transformation is inevitable if the now is the focus. So my art comes out from that experience. I feel like the art that I make, it transforms in front of my eyes as I'm making it. I don't even know what's going to happen from moment to moment, and even if I have an idea of something I'd like to paint or something suggested to me, or I'm inspired by a particular image or concept or idea, the act of making the art, the ritual process, and the spiritual journey of my art making process is completely, it's only in the now. Like I really don't know what's going to happen from brushstroke to brushstroke, or the alchemy that happens is completely a mystery to me. And that's the fun part, because I get to get out of the way and let spirit move me. So.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Lorien. So you've recently started doing a new form of, your art has kind of taken a new form.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm one of the fortunate ones who has one of your essence paintings. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about them. And we have one of them listed. One of them is posted on the radio page. It's the last picture in the series that we've got on this show. Yes. But they are just beautiful, and I'd love for you to tell us what they are and what they are to you.
Got it. Well, yes, I've been painting mixed media paintings inspired, by the earth and earthscapes and the cosmos, and through now I'm something I still enjoy a lot and take a lot of joy in creating, and feel honored to be able to do that. But the essence paintings, the portraits, so to speak, are something that are an art form and expression that came out of a conversation with a good friend of mine back in the fall, and we were talking about portraits and energy and color and light, and that's really what I love to paint, and what moves me is color and light, texture and sparkle. And so she and I were talking about this, and this concept of painting energy and painting colors, and it's not a new one. A lot of artists paint energy and paint auras, but it was something I just thought I would experiment with, and I would see what would happen. So it started off as an experiment of in my creative process of focusing in, and I started with myself and a couple of friends, and I created a ritual around creating a portrait of an individual's energy essence, and really it just kind of came through. And so then I made about maybe 10 of these paintings, and I found that through communicating with each person I worked with and created a painting for, that they were very effective as far as, mirroring back and empowering each person's sense of self, or just, it's like a mirror. It's like and also like a talisman or a tool, like almost like a healing modality. So receiving energy from the painting that mirrors back to the self, and I just kind of ran with it. I just started playing with it and doing more, and then it's fun. It's really fun because they give. The painting, art gives. Art has the power to heal, and so just like wearing a crystal or wearing a diamond or wearing a semi-precious stone or something that has meaning to you in your life, whether it's clothes or jewelry or a piece of art or flowers or anything that we prefer, that we get energy from that. We receive healing and blessing and energy that empowers and strengthens ourselves. So that's how I see these paintings, as a healing tool, and just a tool to appreciate our own inner beauty and sovereignty and self-worth and value, and to connect with ourselves and to connect with our divinity. So that's a little bit about those paintings, and I have a link on my website that I'll go ahead and put in the comments on this show.
Wonderful. Yeah, we've got, perfect, and we've got the link to your website on the show link, too.
Oh, good. Yeah, so I just posted the link. So if anyone's interested, any of the listeners interested in more about this art form, they're called Personal Essence Portraits, and I posted the link on there, and you can see there's samples and all the information's right there. So yeah, thank you.
I have to tell you, Lorien,
yes.
Because I have one of these.
Yes.
And we do a fair amount of work. I mean, the core of the work that we do at Essence Coaches is around connecting with essence and helping to remove anything that gets in the way of us being able to express our unique essence out in the world.
Yes.
And so, one of the tools that I love to work with is just a nice big breath and feeling, I call it a heart breath, where you take a breath in and feel your heart expand.
Mm. And
with each breath, it's a little bit more like coming home to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the ways that I connect with my essence every day. And we have several meditations that can help you to connect with essence on essencecoaches.com. But one of the things that I notice when I look at the essence painting that you created for me, that I instantly look at it and it's almost like I breathe it in.
Oh yeah.
And it's actually my essence painting is the one that it's the one that we posted, right?
Yeah, the green one.
Yeah. So I breathe that in, and it just feels like just by looking at that painting, it feels like coming home.
Oh, I love that. I mean, and that's I feel like that. Yeah, you've said it. I mean, mine was my description was pretty lengthy, but honestly, that it is. I feel like a coming home, and that's beautiful. And really being in the heart. I feel like these are the times, and it's time to live from our heart and be follow our heart, and really surrender to the heart's
heart
and messaging,
and asking ourselves, what is it that wants to emerge from us?
Absolutely.
So this is like the perfect segue to go into your story a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fortunate enough to kind of be with you on your path.
Yes. When
you chose to be an artist full time.
Yes.
And I'd love for you to talk, share with the listeners a little bit about your background.
Okay.
And what brought you to that place of like committing to, not only speaking your truth, but kind of doing your truth through your art in the world.
Yes. Okay. I had been a teacher. I worked in the public school system, both in New York and in California, and I taught art. And it's a calling. It's a calling to inspire others to be creative and to express themselves and to provide a refuge and a safe space for youth to be themselves. So I've had an amazing career as a fine arts teacher, and in the public schools in Los Angeles and then in upstate New York, just really powerful and successful in terms of daily evidence and demonstrations that what I was doing as a teacher in that role in those classrooms was making a difference in the lives of many. And I mean, every day as an educator, you make a difference no matter what kind of feedback is given from the government or the school or the district or all the stuff that goes along with the education system. No matter what the feedback is, the students, the one in front of you, is always going to be giving you the instant feedback. And I had amazing experiences and touched many lives and was touched and moved and transformed through that. I mean, it was phenomenal. And so, yes, last year I chose to step away and take what's basically a voluntary sabbatical. And I felt a calling before last year, a couple years ago, to make a transition, and it was definitely an uncomfortable place to be in because, you know, when being employed, and I had a fairly secure position and felt very certain that I could stay doing that for a really long time, you know, and retire and be a teacher and continue to do that path, be in that path until quote unquote retirement. And so it felt like, okay, I could keep doing this, but there was this, you know, niggling from my heart and to pursue, you know, another calling was coming in, and it was very strong, and I wrestled with it, and because there's, you know, no guarantees to go out and be an artist full time. It's a whole other ball of wax, so to speak. So it took me some time to make that transition, and I had a lot of help. I was extremely fortunate to have some major support and cheerleaders saying, yes, do that. And follow your heart, and Kat, you were one of them who we looked at the spiritual, the practical, all angles, because it all has to be, you know, I think, addressed.
It needs to line up.
Yes, and there needs to be strategy, and yes, of course, all of that is critical to be in the present, to be practical, absolutely, 100%. And on that note, you know, following the heart was, you know, I had to leave. I had to step off and take the leap. And so that was back in June, and I've been a full-time artist ever since. I was moonlighting. I was moonlighting before that for about 6 months. I'd launched my art career in around September, October, I think it was 2011, but I had my job, so I was secure in that, and I had you know, my grounding of having the security of my full-time art teaching position. Yet the art was, you know, calling. It was like children, and they were like, "What about us? What about us?" And so the painting in the studio and the promotion and really getting myself out there, starting to put myself out there as a fine artist, I did that with the foundation of, you know, the security and the stability of being employed. And then I really took the leap, and I've been on this journey as a full-time artist, and no regrets. It's definitely a leap of faith, but I'm following my heart, and the freedom and the, it's hard to describe, but I do know that the freedom is there in my space to be able to I feel like I had to do that. I had to. There was no quote unquote choice. I mean, I chose to, but it was like, written in the stars, so to speak. And
when the calling is so strong that you can't deny it.
Well, I could not do it. Let's just put it that way. and I started to, it was like not kicking and screaming, but it was like, okay, so, all the questions and the fears and all the stuff of, well, where am I going to live and how am I going to pay for this and how, all the little things that come up that are real, in terms of being on the earth and dealing with reality, a reality of practicalities again. All that is real and it must be looked at, but it's certainly not given power to prevent taking the leap of faith. I mean, I think, and that's back to the power of now, and trusting and having full faith and belief, self-belief, and just surrounding myself with cheerleaders who constantly, vote my victory and be able to reach out when assistance is needed. I feel like that's been a huge asset is to surround myself, choose to surround myself with people who support my vision and just be fully courageous, which is again back to the heart, because the word courage comes from core, the heart. So it's really about being in the heart and dropping into the heart and being surrendered to the heart in all ways.
I have a question for you, Lorien.
Yes.
How does your life compare now to how it was a year ago when you were still kind of, when you were still on the teaching path, which I know, is a really intense profession, especially in the public school of LA. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about what prompted you to really, make the shift.
I feel like, it was gradual, and it felt inevitable, and I knew I knew that I just had to see, I had nothing to lose, so to speak, and it was to the point where every day felt like another mountain to climb, on, teaching full time. And I felt like I was being disloyal to myself, believe it or not. I felt like, I can do this, and I enjoy it, and it comes natural for me, and I love teaching, and I still love teaching. I feel like it's a calling as well. It's just not as big a calling as creating art and sharing this form of expression with the world. So it wasn't an overnight thing, but to answer your question, I mean, I felt, I just knew that I had to do it, and that there would be a safety net. I could always go back. I could go back. I do have, that is it's still a possibility if I choose to do that, if I desire that. And I feel like I've got to keep going on this trajectory that I'm on. So I feel like I was on a trajectory, and I couldn't turn back. And I felt like my health was being affected. So it was like my body was talking, and my heart was talking, and spirit was talking, and it's like, pay attention to all of this feedback and these signals from the body, because our body, is a receptor and a communicator, and gives us, biofeedback and in an instant, and paying attention and following that and trusting is of the utmost, because it's our health, So I knew my health was talking to me, my body was talking to me, and it was like, yeah, I have to do this. So I'm someone who, I take good care of myself. I do most, 99.9% preventative health, and it's a huge priority to take care of myself. So because then I can serve, this stuff. So we have to be healthy in our bodies so we can serve and show up to wherever we do and whoever we serve. But I definitely was getting signals from the body, and it was clear that there was no, this was the choice that I required to follow, and just to trust. Trust is another big piece of the equation or the recipe or whatever. It's definitely to trust, and trust the self, and trust intuition, and trust my inner guidance that it's all is well, and all will be well, and beyond my wildest dreams, so to speak, So,
speaking of health and taking care of yourself and preventative health care.
Yeah.
I'd love to get some tips from you, some self-care tips from you. We're all about self-care here at Essence Coaches, and specifically with this show, Gently Moving Forward. How I'd love to get some tips from you. What are your top few things that you do to take care of yourself, to stay in balance in this in this crazy information world that we live in?
Yes, I'd be happy to share. There's several things that I do daily, and I'd love to share them. There's just a few, but they're essential, and it makes all the difference in the world. So one of the things that I do is I meditate every day, and I keep it interesting and fresh. I like to focus on my breath, and I feel like deep breathing and diaphragmatic breathing is essential. So that's an all-day thing, and a morning and evening routine is some sort of meditation practice. And I also exercise every day, and I like variety, so I also love to be outdoors. So things that I like to do are I have a bike, and I adore my bicycle, so I ride my bike and out in nature, and it gives me a lot, nourishes my spirit and body and oxygen and all that. And I love to play tennis, and I love to hike, and just some sort of exercise. I love yoga. But so that's critical. So meditation, exercise, and then a green drink. I do some sort of a green drink and get my protein through that as well. So those are three keys. And then, of course, enough rest. I love getting uninterrupted sleep and love the dream state. So that's really, really important. And then drinking lots of water. And I know we hear these things all the time, but tried and true, this is what keeps me healthy. And it's actually they're all free, in a way. I mean, it's nothing that fancy or special. I mean, I love baths. I love taking baths. I think also baths are critical for me. Just submerging in the water and relaxing and taking that time to hydrate the body. And so baths and walks and water and rest and an amazing green drink every day, and meditating and deep breathing. So really quite simple and accessible to anyone. I mean, it's not even like I go to regular yoga classes or fancy this or that. I mean, it's actually, I've got it boiled down to these are things I can do anywhere I find myself. I do travel a lot and love to travel, and so I think over the years it's all boiled down to like these basics, and that's my preventative healthcare plan basically. I I mean, diet, of course, is really critical, too. I have to mention that.
You're one of my friends who I look to as a role model for how you do, how you look at food and how you manage your nutrition. Because I know that's just so important in our physical energy. But everything you've said, it's about establishing a daily practice that works for you.
Exactly.
And what works for you, actually we have very similar daily practices. But it's about choosing what works best for each individual, and that's going to look different for everyone.
Absolutely, and I've done a lot of different things. I've experimented with a lot of different routines and getting up at certain times and going. I've done I've really explored the gamut, and there's much more to explore, I know. But yet at this point now, this is what's working, and I'm open to improvement. So as friends, friends will turn me on to some hemp protein. I'm drinking this new product with hemp protein, and I'm a vegetarian, so I keep the protein in check, and that's been amazing. And it's like constantly, being very open, being very flexible to new, upgrades in my lifestyle. That's something else that I feel like is really important. Is not to get too stuck, be flexible, and to change and be adaptable. So it's and open to suggestions. So I'm so far this is working, and I'm open to what's new, and it will upgrade me. And I agree. I mean, I think it's consistency, and I do feel different if I don't drink a green drink, and I'm not talking. It doesn't have to be like a fresh juice. I'm talking about like chlorophyll. Just getting the greens, and then eating greens every day. I love to eat greens every day, and like steamed greens and the diet, the nutrition, it's important. The high vibrational live foods, and balancing. Just really, I eat instinctually, so I just pay attention to my body and follow its guidance, and I think that seems to be working right now.
Beautiful.
So
beautiful.
Nothing too extreme. Yeah, I feel like moderation is something that has been really, really useful for me to. I love cleansing, and I love retreats, and I love intensity, and I think there's always a place for that, and I love that. And at the same time, when it comes down to like the day-to-day, is keeping it moderate, keeping it all moderate, and then being consistent. So like you said, it's finding something that works, and then doing it, and just and then keeping it the feeling. How does it feel? How does this feel? What do I feel like my body needs? And that's been critical in terms of performance. Having the energy and the live. The life force energy to be able to be my best self, and I call it bringing my A game.
I love that, bringing your A game. So I wanted, before we run out of time here today, I want to make sure that we tell the listeners about a special that you are offering for your Essence paintings for Gently Moving Forward listeners. Yes. So you want to share that?
Absolutely. So I have on my website, and the link is it's in the Blog Talk chat room. I'm offering through Valentine's Day, which is next Thursday, I believe, a 20% off a personal Essence portrait, or a 20% off a couple's relationship portrait. And so I'll honor that special exclusively for Gently Moving Forward listeners. And it's real simple. The steps on how to create this and have this happen is just to go on that link, and it's all right there. You can email me or call me. I'm available to do these right now. So
why don't you talk a little bit about your process with them, Lorien, in like a minute or two? So what is the process? So someone says, yes, Lorien, I want to do this. And then what happens?
So we set up a consultation. We set up like a 40-minute kind of meet and greet, and that can be done via phone or Skype or email. But I'd like to talk. I do want to have a conversation. I prefer to have a voice-to-voice conversation. That really helps me tune into your energy, the individual's energy. And there's a questionnaire that I request that's filled out, and so that's all on the website. And that gives me a sense of the essence of who I'm working with. And then after that's complete, I create the painting, and then it's created, and I prepare it to mail out. I take a photograph of it, so there's a high-quality digital image that's included, and then I send the painting off, and that's something that that's the tangible part. So it's a two-part process. One is getting to know, and the second is creating the painting and delivering it.
Awesome.
And that's about it. It's pretty simple.
Well, we really appreciate the 20% off. That's a wonderful deal.
Absolutely.
And I'll be posting the link on the show replay.
Awesome.
For those of you that are listening live, it's you go to Lorien's site, which is on the link now, and that's LorienEck.com, and it's /personal_essence_paintings.html. So that's the way to find it, and the link will be available as soon as the show's over.
Awesome.
So I just want to thank you, Lorien, for taking your time today and sharing your beautiful essence with us today, and sharing the transformative qualities of art, as well as, I personally love hearing your self-care tips. Establishing a personal practice is just so important.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for asking. I love sharing, and I don't that frequently. I mean, I kind of, my philosophy of leadership is lead by example.
Amen.
And
you know that we're in alignment on that one.
Yes, and I really, pedantic and preachy, and I found that can maybe work if you're teaching a bunch of 8-year-olds or kids who
right.
There's that role. In that role, I think it's okay to be a teacher and tell give suggestions and whatnot. But as far as like my peers and friends, I really I prefer to just focus on doing the work and walking my talk, and I'll respond if asked. But I feel like wagging my finger and like, well, this is what works for me. That's
I hear you.
That doesn't fly. And so I've definitely lead by example, and I'm open to communicating and taking any emails or comments. I have a blog. It's on my website. I write in that every month, and I put a bunch of suggestions. There's so many resources that we have available. I mean, like you said, Kat, we're in the information age.
Yep. It's
pretty massive. It's a big time for all access. So
Lorien, people can reach you at Lorien, Lorien, at LorienEck.com.
Yes, and we can put that email on there. But I'm very accessible. I'd love to talk about the creative process, self-care, anything, art, making, teaching, healing. I'm very open and available and accessible. So, yes.
Great.
Shout out.
Thank you. So I want to end the show today with one of my favorite Apache blessings that brings me peace. And I hope it brings you peace too. May the sun bring you new energy by day. May the moon softly restore you by night. May the rain wash away your worries. May the breeze blow new strength into your being. May you walk gently through the world and know its beauty all the days of your life. So thank you so much, Lorien, for joining me today and sharing your gifts of creative expression with us. And I just want to thank all the listeners, and be sure to tune in to the other shows on Essence Coach's Blog Talk Radio. We have a show almost every day of the week hosted by the wonderful and amazing Essence Coaches. We start the week on Monday with Coach Marilyn O'Malley and her show Awakening Conversations. On Tuesdays, the dynamic Adrienne McDonald is your host for Open and Aware Conversations with Adrienne. On Wednesday, Coach Karen Porter is my co-host for Why Wait, a show that explores the spiritual side of weight loss. We've been working our way through Marianne Williamson's A Course in Weight Loss, and next week we are continuing to explore Chapter 13. which is feeling your feelings.
Mm.
And on Thursday, we have Lightening Up with Coach Roberta Nelson. Friday is Gently Moving Forward. And Saturday is Laser Love with Coach Rebecca Gretz. We have lots of good things going on here at Essence Coaches, so feel free to join our mailing list for free meditations and energy tools by going to www.essencecoaches.com and adding your name and email list to the sign-up box on the right. So we will be here next week at the same time, 1 o'clock on Fridays Pacific, and thank you again for sharing this time with me. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and remember to gently move forward. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank
Lorien.
you. Thanks, Kat.
There.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.